to the cloud.
Yay.
Awesome. Well, welcome back everyone to another amazing empowerment night. We've had a really great week so far. Monday, we had Josh talking about a disability employment. Yesterday, we had a little bit of a hiccup, but we made it work. We talked about advocacy and legislation. We had a speaker who was unable to make it, but the attendees, we had a really great conversation with the attendees. They shared their own information about their experiences with advocacy and like what they're kind of pushing for in their own lives, which was really fun to share. And tonight is going to be no different. We have a really great speaker. Anessa has been with us before. She has presented about a year ago. She works with All Ability Recruiting, which is like a job recruitment organization, and she just has a lot of really great information. So thank you guys for being here, and thank you, Anessa, for giving us some of your time tonight. And whenever you're ready, you can go ahead and kick it off.
Well, thank you guys so much. Such a pleasure to be here. Honestly, I'm kind of excited that it's just really the six of us because I really want this to be interactive. And I'm going to go briefly through a couple of slides, just what I had thought about doing, but I really want to hear from you all. So let me kick it off real quick and share my screen. Talking about, let me see if I'm going to get this to work. Isn't this always fun when we do this? Okay. Tell me if you can see that. All right. All right. So you can get hired if you are disabled. Let's go to it. All right. So first, a little bit about me. Why do I care about disability awareness, disability, just anything, all things related to that? So I'll begin with my dad, who is on the right. This was taken many years ago. He is actually holding my daughter in that photo, and my daughter is now almost ready to turn 18. And when I was a kid, 10 years old, he was in a car crash. He was hit by a drunk driver and sustained a traumatic brain injury, a TBI. So that was my first introduction into the world of invisible disabilities, into the world of, but you don't look sick, and being sick on the inside, but not looking it on the outside. It's a very different perspective, especially if you were someone that was healthy and went about life, and then you have an accident and your life is forever changed, but yet you still look the same. So that was when I was a young age of just growing up with that. And then in 2013, I was actually diagnosed with Addison's disease, which is a rare autoimmune disease. And the picture on my left, which I'm assuming is still your left, that is me taken 2 months before I was diagnosed. And I showed this picture because one, it was just so long ago, and things have changed since then. I've aged, lovely steroids, put on some good weight. But the picture, it shows my really tan hands. And the reason I show that is because one good side effect of Addison's disease is our darker pigmentation. And my hands and my feet were starting to get very, very tan, and we didn't know why. And eventually it was like my whole body was starting to get tanner. And I thought, hey, this is cool. I'm just going to get tanner as I get older, not knowing, yeah, you're not supposed to be doing that. But eventually I was diagnosed. It was many years leading up to my diagnosis. It was a long road, but finally and thankfully I had a name for all of the symptoms that I was having, and my life was forever changed. And I just threw myself into research, because when you are diagnosed with something rare, you are oftentimes the only person that knows about it, even when talking with medical professionals. And just realized there's this whole world of amazing, talented people out there with disabilities who were not getting the opportunities because there are gaps in their resume, because they were sick, because they were injured. They were trying to figure out what this new life is going to be like, but that doesn't mean that they're any less worthy. So fast forward many years later, and gosh, it was really March of 2021, my husband and I founded All Ability Recruiting. So we are a disability recruitment firm. So we specialize in disability employment. And the way we operate is we kind of have twofold in which to get placements. We have candidates, it could be such as yourself, if you're looking for appointment, that reach out to us and say, hey, I'm looking for my next opportunity, and this is my background, this is what I'm looking for. And then we have our clients, which are companies that reach out to us and say, hey, I want to be more inclusive. I want to work people with disabilities, help me fill some of my roles. And so we are kind of a matchmaker at this point in working with that. We've recently added training and consulting since I last spoke. And those are the two extra arms to our business. And that's where we go into businesses and we have training sessions and we say, hey, there are 4 sessions that we have. Let us help you understand what it means to work with people with disabilities. How do you not act like it's the elephant in the room? If someone comes in a wheelchair, you're like, how do you respond properly and not be, like, oh my gosh, what's happening? All that crazy stuff that goes along with, well, I don't have to tell you guys, just the fun interactions that you probably encounter on a daily basis when it comes to going out in the world. So we help work through that. So it's a comfortable factor for them and making sure that they are understanding what it means for disabilities and what that's like for all forms. And then we added the consulting piece, and that's where we go in and we look at the whole disability life cycle of an employee and what that's like when you are applying for the job, when you're interviewing, when you're actually employed and feeling supported, and then, hopefully sustaining that throughout the whole time. So first question for you all, since I can see you all even with sharing my screen. Yay! This is what happens when it's a small group. Okay, so you could just say, or you can raise your hand and let me know who is currently looking for a job. One of you. Okay, so does that mean you guys are currently employed? Or you're like, yeah, I'm not sure when I get back to work?
I'm self-employed, and one of the questions that I have for you is, I love to share. I'm an accessibility consultant, so I love to share with
Oh, yay!
businesses what they're missing out on when they
Mm-hmm.
don't have accessible spaces. So I love to share data or anecdotes to say, because you're not accessible, you're missing out on these people, this, this much opportunity, blah,
Yeah.
blah, blah. So yeah.
I
That's
love that, Julie. And that's actually what we talk about in our consulting, where we come in and assess certain companies and how they're automatically excluding a certain population based upon their practices. So I probably need to pick your brain some more and learn some of your knowledge to be able to share that. That's awesome.
That would be awesome. Yeah.
Anybody else have anything you want to say about are you currently employed, or you name it?
I had a spinal cord injury 3 years ago, and I haven't returned to work since I had that happen.
Gotcha. Okay. Are you wanting to get back in soon, or you're just kind of thinking about it?
There's multiple obstacles, so yeah, I'm just kind of listening.
Sure. I get that.
In
Okay.
my experience with working, right now I work under the confinements of SSDI, but
Mhm.
eventually someday I want to get off of that. I was advised from a disability specialist because I went to college and I took out more student loans than I needed. Because when you're disabled, they pay for your college, and I didn't know any of that. So I also took out Pell Grants and stuff that I didn't need. So I have like $50,000 worth of debt that I just I can't afford to do. Call it like a payment for my college fees would be like $500 a month, and that's just not something that anyone on disability can afford.
Right.
So I was advised to stay on disability for a few years, long enough to get that total forgiveness program with college, because there is a program where if you stay on disability for so long, they'll wipe out your student loans, but you have to stay on disability for like 3 to 5 years.
I did not know that. I see. I just learned something new. I didn't realize that with the college. Okay. Awesome.
So I was advised to stay on disability, apply for the program, get the government to wipe out my debt, and then after all that's done, then get off of disability, go back to work like as a full-time human and things like that. So that's my plan. I know that just because Nicole had mentioned that she's kind of newer to the disability community, but that is my plan. I've been working under the poverty level for 5 years or so. I'll stay in poverty for a little bit longer, with the hopes of A, getting those loans wiped out so I don't have to pay $500 a month, and then B, being able to, like I said, eventually get back to full-time work. But is that something that All Ability kind of plays around with? Do they help people who are both like still getting government assistance and those who may want to get off of government assistance? Because I know, like Jessie, she just got off of government assistance and she went back to work full-time. my boyfriend is also getting off of disability and wanting to go back to work full time. So are those things that you guys kind of help navigate as well?
We can help talk you through a certain points. I will be perfectly honest that, I feel like sometimes you have to have a degree in calculus in order to fill all of that out. And, we will refer you to people who are better knowledge with that. It's for us, it's about getting you in front of the right people. That's really what our idea behind all of that is. And then I can say, okay, I want you to call so-and-so, and they can kind of walk you through what that looks like for you and how to work those numbers. You don't want me doing math. So, so I can talk all day long, but don't ask me to do math. So a couple of things here in this country. I know, Julie, I thought you said you're in Canada. So just so you know, this is more for America, and just the way that we operate currently is that we have a ticket to work. And that I'm sure some of you might be familiar with. It's the process within your state. Then there's all vocational rehab. Vocational rehab, some people have great success with it and some people have some challenges. And the unfortunate part is they are understaffed and overwhelmed in certain areas. And like for me, I live currently in Charlotte, North Carolina. Vocational rehab is a huge thing here because Mecklenburg County, the county that I am in, is ginormous. And so they are just overwhelmed. And if you do get an opportunity to speak with a counselor, then you have to stay on top of that for sure. And like I say here, you get what you put into it. And if you really just keep working hard, eventually, then it might pay off. Yes, Nicole.
I just had a quick point to Bree. Under Biden, for the student loan forgiveness program, your loans may have automatically been forgiven without you having to do a lot of paperwork, because it was something new he recently passed in order to do that with disability. Because I went to school and everything was covered for a while, but I kept having to keep dropping out due to surgeries many years ago. And so I took winter and summer sessions and I took out loans for those, and then I almost died. And so what the loan company did was they put me into what's called default, which skyrockets your payments because it adds interest on top of interest. So I ended up having to get those 2 loans forgiven. But under Biden, evidently that has gotten a lot easier. So you may not have to wait the full 5 years now for that. I wanted to point that out to you. And also with me, I was talking to Josh. I haven't been employed in a long time, but I do want to become employed. But I feel like, based on the programs that I'm in, it feels like they're shoving you into a box and trying to make it so difficult for you to work without losing your benefits. And the thing I worry about with me, and if you have any advice on this going forward in your presentation, is that I'm one of those unlucky people that gets a lot of complications due to their injury. And I don't want to disappoint a company, like if I'm working part-time for them, because I can only do part-time because I'm in school now. But I really want money because I really want a car. I really want a house. I really want off of some of the government assistance too.
Yeah.
I don't want to start something and then need a major surgery and have to take multiple weeks off or things like that. And I also don't know how employers will react to stuff like that too.
Yes, I'm going to talk about that in a couple of slides. So, and if I don't, because my brain stops working about this time of day, remind me. So, going back to this, and I promise you we'll cover it, Nicole. The last thing is just another option for opportunities for jobs. We operate All Ability Recruiting as a traditional recruitment firm. However, we specialize in those with disabilities. So when people call us, they know that when you are hiring one of our candidates, they have a disability. And the beautiful thing about what I do and that I love doing is that I can speak to my candidates. In this country, we have laws that when you go in for an interview, they're not supposed to ask you about your disability. They're only supposed to ask you about any accommodations that you may need. I can, with your permission, my candidate's permissions, share and say, look, I have this amazing person. She has a phenomenal background. She is ready to work and she's going to work hard for you. And this is what she needs, X, Y, and Z. Can you meet that accommodation? And if the company is not willing to do that, then I'm not going to submit them, because I only want it to be a win-win for both parties. I want it to be win-win for you, the person who's going to be working there, where you feel supported and honored and everything that you need to do your job successfully. And then also for our client to say, yes, this person's going to do amazing. And this is why, because you've supported them and you've provided what they are needing. So we are another option. We really believe there are some other companies out there, but for us, it's our candidates first. It's people first. It's very personal to me. It's very personal when you are going in for an interview, that it's the number one important thing for you. So therefore, it's very important for me. And unfortunately, recruiters do get a bad name because they oftentimes ghost people. They don't return phone calls. They just don't do anything. And we are absolutely adamant that that does not happen at all ability. You know, if you're someone with a disability, likelihood is you haven't had an easy ride or easy road. The last thing I want to do is saying that I'm a disability advocate and just be even, you know, worse to that and add to that. So we are just, when we built this company, that was just one thing that we absolutely kept in mind, that if we don't know something, we're going to tell you. And if we do know something, we're absolutely going to tell you. I think someone's joining us. Shall I admit, since I'm the host? Okay. Let me, did I skip a slide? Nope. Okay. All right. So let's talk about your resume. And this is something that we see a lot lately, is that, you know, when you are putting it together, this is important, some kind of things to keep in mind, that keep it concise. Bullet points work absolutely just fantastic, because when a person is scanning it, they're going to scan it quickly. They don't need to have the Magna Carta written out. They need just bylines and whatnot. And I did not add this because this is something that I'm seeing a lot lately. Include what you have been doing, even if it is not being that you have been employed. So when I say that, oftentimes I'll have people who submit their resume to me and they will have 4 years and nothing is on there. And I'm like, well, what have you been doing? Well, you know, I've been writing a blog, or I created my own website talking about my injury, or I've been on social media. I want to see that, because that shows what you have been doing. It shows that you're knowledgeable about what's happening in the world, what's happening with you, and that you can speak to that. Like for me, after I was diagnosed, I started talking about it, and I still have my social media page of Anessa Powell speaker, because I started speaking about invisible disabilities and raising awareness for Addison's disease. And then I created a website. So before I started All Ability Recruiting, I was looking at interviewing for certain jobs. I had that on there. And that was the first thing they would always ask me and say, well, talk to me about this. And then I was a freelance person for an autoimmune organization. And I talked about that. Was I paid for that? No, that's okay. They just want to see that you are out there and you're speaking about it. And then another thing, which is really, really huge right now, is LinkedIn. It is the best opportunity to sell yourself, to show what you're doing and to show your voice. They have done a really nice job, and huge kudos to LinkedIn, because the algorithm is just amazing, because that is the best way to have organic growth for you and your voice and creating a following. So if you are passionate about speaking about your injury, your disability, anything, that is the place to do it. Share articles, share, comment on other people's things that you are following that are talking about what you know about, getting your voice out there. And then people are going to start to recognize you as someone who is knowledgeable, someone who has a voice. So when someone says, hey, I have this job opportunity, you can quickly respond, and people say, yes, you should interview that person. I've been following her for a while. She knows what she's talking about. She's really great. She's qualified. I had a conversation with her. You know, that to me has been the most organic thing for our business too, that I'm finding, is because the way the algorithm is created, you make a comment, so many people are going to see it, as opposed to Instagram. I've struggled with that thing because they keep changing it, and it's very hard to grow there. So focus on LinkedIn account if you don't already have one, and just hit it hard. I mean, like, if you're not working full time and you have the time, or, you know, spend it on there, make comments, connect with people, connect with anybody and everybody. Doesn't matter. Just start growing it, because the more people you're connected with, the more people who see it, and the more people who like it, it grows. Does that make sense? Okay. Okay. So how to get that interview. So say you've done this, you found the job, you're trying to get in the door. How do you do that? Well, it's all about connections. And truly it goes back into that LinkedIn thing that I mentioned, but it also comes with doing your research and knowing, you know, the ins and outs of this company. That really speaks volumes. It shows that you know what you're talking about, and that you know about what's happening within the company. The much has been released and is out there. Who do you know that works for that company? Start looking them up on LinkedIn. They have a whole list. You can search by the company and then look under people. You can look under job title. Who do you know that works for that department? Just so say, for instance, and this is how I got an interview one time. I saw a job posting and the person that posted it was on the board for this company. And I just sent him a message and I said, hey, I would love to have an opportunity to have an interview. Can you share my resume with the hiring manager or the HR team? I can't remember what it was. He sent it over and I got an interview. I never would have gotten an interview elsewise, is that a word? Otherwise, you know, if it weren't for that, because if you look on LinkedIn too, and they have a LinkedIn button where you can apply, it'll say how many people have applied for the job, and it was like over 1,000. So that's an amazing opportunity to get your foot in the door. And finding out the hiring manager and message them introducing yourself if you don't already have a connection with them, and let them know that you have an interest in the position. That is just huge, because 9 times out of 10, because you took the initiative, they will absolutely give you a chance. They're going to talk to you, or they're going to put you in the pile that says you need to contact this person. And if they don't, shame on them, because they really should. They really should. All right, so interview tips. When you go in for the interview, or even if it's over remotely, be prepared. Do your homework. Do your research on the company. You know, have a copy of your resume in front of you, because sometimes they forget it. They don't print it out. And you're like, well, no worries. I've got it right here in front of me. And let's talk about it. That showing your initiative is huge. Having a list of questions. They always in the interview saying, do you have any questions for me? Have them written out. If you're like me and you completely go blank, if someone is putting you on the spot, it's like when you go to the doctor's office and you're like, I'm going to ask them this, and this. And then they ask you, what do you have? And you're like, oh, I totally forgot. Have it written out. That's so important. And that way it shows what you, and ask thought-provoking questions, not like, do you like working here? You know, he or she's not going to be like, I'm going to lie to you and say I hate it. No, you definitely do your research and make sure that you've done that before, and have questions. It really just helps you understand what it's like to be in this company. Is it a work environment that you want to be a part of? Ask those questions. Are they supportive? Will they support you where you are and the needs that you have? So asking those kind of things really goes a long way. And that way you don't make a mistake and you get in there and 2 months down the road, you're like, oh, this is not a good place, or this is not for me. These are not my people. You know, just really start diving deep. This is the time to do it, especially in this culture now with companies and with the work environment that is out there. You know, people want to work for where they feel supported, otherwise they're leaving. So start asking those right away. And the accommodations piece, disclose or not to disclose. You know, it's a little bit different when you're talking about an invisible disability as opposed to a visible disability on whether to disclose. We get this question a lot from our candidates and what that means. And there's a lot of stigma that goes along with it. And there's a worry that if they tell whom they're interviewing for about their disability and the accommodations that they may need, they do worry that they're not going to be hired. And our point is, if it's something that may get worse over time, you need to let them know up front, because they're not going to be able to properly support you if they don't know from the beginning that this is something that's happening. So I know that it's not always an easy thing to talk about, but it is something that full disclosure and full communication is always the way to go. And if they're not receptive to it and they're just kind of like, we're going to ignore it, then that's not a company you need to be working for anyway. So something to keep in mind. And you know what, if you guys have more questions that you like have one-offs and you don't feel comfortable sharing in front of the group, I get it. Feel free to just reach out to me separately. Okay, after the interview, following up with an email is so important. An email or a handwritten note even. I know that's very old school, but you would be surprised how many people love getting mail, and a handwritten note goes a very long way. But even just an email afterwards, if you don't have an address, because that's not always an easy thing to get as a mailing address, this is the best way to just really just reiterate what you have said in the interview and just why you're the right person for the job and why you think you'd be a right fit for the environment and the culture and the company and all that stuff. So this is it. And connect with them on LinkedIn too. You know, for that job that I was telling you about that I interviewed for, I didn't get it. And you know what? You're not always going to get every job, but I did connect with that person. And let me tell you, that person's now one of my biggest cheerleaders on LinkedIn for this new company. So you just never know where it will lead. be you, show initiative. Don't be anyone but you, honestly, be yourself because, who else are you going to be? Just be you, be your authentic self. And if they really want to just take an opportunity to get to know you, then just be you for the whole process, the interview, all of that. Have determination, and just hard work is just obviously a part of it too. And show them that you are worthy of being there. That's what I always like to say. You absolutely are. You're worthy of being there in your true authentic self. And this, I went through it very fast, but anyway, this is how you can reach me on All Ability Recruiting through LinkedIn and through Instagram. I have 2 channels on Instagram. I have our All Ability thing, and then I have my speaker one. And, for us, I will tell you, we've been, gosh, we're 18 months down the road now. So the word is starting to get out about us, which is exciting. And we're in North Carolina. So the jobs that we have posted now, so if you go to our website at All Ability Recruiting, you can see our job postings. And so many of them are in North Carolina because that's just our network at this point. And so we have candidates, however, from all over the country with all walks of disabilities and all walks of expertise and background. We have everything from entry level up to executives that we are hoping to place as we continue to grow in our network and through our companies in order to make these placements. So what I always like to tell people is that if we don't have something now, doesn't mean we won't have something in the future. So if you do send us your information as you're starting to get into the workforce and you're starting to look for employment, we will keep your information on file and we'll call you if say, for instance, you're looking for a customer service remote job opportunity. I will call you first thing if we have a job posting like that, and we'll make sure that we get you in front right away. That's how we do it. So just stay in touch with me too. Like if you send us your resume, we'll talk to you and we'll go through the process and what you're looking for. And then, like I said, as we start to grow and add more jobs, we'll be able to have the opportunity to call you first thing. So I want to answer Nicole's question, and I kind of touched on it a little bit. So and I'm going to stop sharing my screen because how do I do that? This is always fun. Stop share. Yay. Okay. So to talk about the opportunity, Nicole, when you're going for the job and what that looks like. So say, for instance, you're working part-time and you might have a challenge down the road where you have to go out, for surgery or whatnot. You don't want to blindside a company. That's the last thing you want to do, because they're going to be like, holy cow, she didn't tell us this was happening. And now we're left without, we're left shorthanded or whatnot. Right. So my point is, you always want to share what you can and your knowledge of. Say, look, this is what's happening to me. There might be a chance in a few months where I'll have to have surgery. I just want you to know that. And as I always tell people, is it a risk? Absolutely. They're going to be like, I don't want to hire her. She's going to go out in 2 months. And it is risk. However, it tells you the type of company that they are. If they immediately are like, yeah, that's not going to work for us. Do you really want to work for a company that doesn't understand who you are? And that's our big push that we talk about with businesses and companies and corporations and whatnot, is saying, you want to be more inclusive. You want to hire people with disabilities. Well, let me tell you how you do that. You support them in all things that are happening and all things that will happen and could happen. Here in America, we had long COVID that was recently added to the list of ADA. And it's a real thing. And businesses are like, oh, okay, we got to figure this out. We got to get on top of that. And as we tell our clients, it's just going to continue to happen. There are things that are just going to keep coming down the road. We have an aging population, and we have a younger generation that is coming into work for you that has grown up advocating for themselves. They have IEP plans, they have 504 plans, and they're not going to work for you unless you can honor what they're asking for from the very beginning. So how do you get ahead of that? So Nicole, I wish you all the best as you're trying to get into that, but just be you, and be honest, and you're going to find somebody that's going to support you in everything that's happening. Questions? I rolled through that very fast. And welcome, Daniel. Hi, welcome. Tell me what else is going on? Anything pressing that you're thinking of in the employment
Anessa.
area? Hi, welcome.
Welcome. Well, thank you so much. And thanks for having me. I just wanted to thank you for your presentation. You showed your ability to speak up and as a leader, as a speaker, motivational leader, and also a member of the class at the same level of each member of this class, I think. And thank you so much because apart from the other teachers, you masked off, the role of the teacher and as an advisor. And thank you so much. Really appreciate it.
Thank you.
And
That
greetings
was
from
sweet.
Italy. Yes.
Oh, you're from Italy. Oh, wow.
Yes.
What part?
The southeastern coast of Italy.
Oh, I have a feeling it's beautiful. And I have a feeling you saw sun there today. We did not.
Yes.
Amazing.
Maybe not. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you. Awesome. All right, talk to me. Any other feeding questions on your mind? So before anyone asks anything else, so as you guys are weighing into interviewing, putting yourself back out there, are you nervous? Are you worried? Tell me what you're kind of thinking about that.
Well, if no one wants to speak up on that question, I do have a couple. I know you touched on LinkedIn, and that when it comes to social media, I'm really good at social media outside of LinkedIn. Like I'm good with like Instagram and Facebook and those things. But LinkedIn is never something that I got involved with. And so my question would be, like, I understand that the things that you would share on Instagram is different than what they would be on LinkedIn. So for some of us who probably don't utilize LinkedIn a lot, that is one of my goals this year, is to really build, because I built one in college. I really don't use it.
Yeah.
What are things that I like? For me, you know my background and what I do with Will with me, like what are the things that I should be sharing on my LinkedIn? Like, because I know it shouldn't just be like my personal information and what I do on my day-to-day, but like would it come down to like the podcast that I do, or the like the events that Wheel with Me Foundation does? Like, what would be good things for someone like me who's like just starting to grow their LinkedIn? What should we be sharing with that community?
That's a great question. And let me tell you, everything you just said, everything that you're working on, because you work on a lot, my dear. And like, to your point, you're very good at it. You're going to pick up LinkedIn in no time. I will tell you, LinkedIn is very different than it was a few years ago. It used to be very stiff, and the corporate speak, it's not like that anymore. It's when you share more of a personal story, it's starting to really resonate with people. Like I shared yesterday that it was 10 years of my diagnosis, and speaking about that, because it's really the reason why we created All Ability Recruiting. And so that's an opportunity to speak to what you're working on, though, I will tell you, because you doing that podcast is huge. Have a link to it. Talk about what you did for it, how proud you are of it. People are always talking about something, their accomplishments on there, because it's really a bragging thing too. And talk about what you're doing for the Will With Me Foundation and how that is just truly your passion, right? Is that something that you truly care about, and all of the stuff that you do for them? So yeah, absolutely. It is a different speak. Like, you're not going to say, here I am having my morning coffee. Look how good this looks. That's Instagram. No, you're going to talk about, this is a project that I finished today, and this is what we just put out there, and this is the link to it. Come take a look. That kind of stuff.
And you know what's going to come of that is businesses are going to see you as an expert on disability and all of the things that you do, and they're going to start reaching out to you and asking you questions.
Exactly.
That's what I see happening. Yeah.
Exactly. And Jesse got a huge thing for the app that you guys did and put together. That was phenomenal. And did you work on that?
The fitness app? Yeah.
Yeah.
When we first started the fitness app, there was a team of 4 of us. And then by midsummer last year, it just became me and Jesse. So Jesse and I have just been kind of tackling it together, the 2 of us. Yeah.
You need to scream that from the rooftops, because I posted that about Jesse and I got so many shares from that, and I didn't even do it. I just did it because Jesse's on our board. And I was like, yeah, so you need to scream that and you need to talk about that. And that's just phenomenal, because you guys are just honestly just trailblazers, and that needs to be shared. And like to Julie's point, people start seeing there like, oh wow, yeah, we need to talk to them for sure.
All right, well, I've got my homework assignment for the night.
There you go.
LinkedIn.
You know, it's funny. I was really afraid to get into it because my husband had been in corporate America for over 20 years, and he's like, you don't need to say certain things. And I'm like, blah, blah, blah. So I started it, and I just dove in, and it's on, our business comes from that. It does not come from Instagram. It does not come from Facebook. It comes from LinkedIn. So yeah, it's something to think about.
So when it comes to like when you bring people in, do you bring in more businesses through LinkedIn, and I assume that you connect with more individuals through the other platforms. So that's why for you in particularly, it's kind of beneficial and important to have more than one platform so you can reach also like your clients and the people that you're trying to connect them with, right?
Yes. And, you know, we actually have quite a few candidates have found us through LinkedIn, and we've had a few who found us through Instagram. Facebook, not so much. I think that people just kind of, especially the younger generation, they're not on Facebook. But it's great for having some great links and stuff to certain things. But if you are someone that's really trying to market yourself, then LinkedIn's the way to go for a job. I mean, not because you want to be an influencer. You know, that's different.
What do you recommend for someone like I've been disabled a long time and I have an extensive gap in my resume because I have had a lot of surgeries and a lot of hospitalizations for a lot of years, and they didn't think I was going to make it for a while. But and I suffer from like sort of this syndrome, and I know it's not true, but a lot of like I have really good experience on my resume, but it's all like many years, like over 10 years old. But it's sort of like I used to be somebody, you know what I mean? But like you then like, you know, a lot of things caught up with me, and it's not that I haven't done nothing, like, you know, like I've sold part-time on eBay, and I do like other freelance stuff like survey websites and things like that, like, you know, not a lot, but you know, to bring in little amounts of money. And you know, and I'm hoping to start like, you know, like a jewelry business and things like that. But you know, like what do you recommend, like if you're looking for work, what do you like, do you put the old stuff on there or do you not? Okay.
They need to see, well, I mean, what have you done? They need to know at least you have some experience, some work experience to that. And yes, share volunteer experiences as well. You're volunteering your time. You're freelance, have links on your resume or to the articles. Like I just recently got a resume where she's written some amazing pieces for her foundation. And, you know, she didn't get paid for that, but it's beautiful. It talks about her because she's looking for, what is she looking for? Something to do with, oh gosh, I can't even think, writing, editing, and all that. So it just speaks to the fact that she's knowledgeable in that area. So have that. If you've done any volunteer, if you've written anything, if you blogged about anything, if you've done an interview, if you've even just had any posts on social media, you could share about that and saying, these are my social media pages, because if you have a public page, they can go back and look at that, because employers do their homework. Let me tell you, they're going to look you up and they're going to go to your social media pages. They're going to check you out. So make sure your content, that's another good point, is make sure content is tight. When I say that, make sure it is something that you can speak to if someone questions you about it, and that is something that you're knowledgeable about and that you're proud of. Like if you're got something on there that maybe you don't want somebody to see that's going to be hiring you, you might want to take that down.
My social media pages,
just food for thought. I guess it depends on the employee.
Yeah, my social media pages, it's funny. I was joking with Bree because they just did the wheel with me into fitness. And I'm like, yeah, my social media pages like had almost nothing on them since I started them like so many years ago until like this year when I was just posting, you know, all the activities that I did. So yeah.
There you go. But it shows that you're doing stuff though, right? It's showing that you're still active and you're involved. So absolutely include that too. Okay. Yes. And I want to see some of your jewelry, by the way.
Oh,
keep going.
I'll be happy to share it because yeah, I'm going to need some help because I was thinking of starting to list it on like Etsy and things like that.
Absolutely. So, yeah. That would be amazing. Yeah. You know, my daughter, she's obsessed with Etsy, and she bought all of our Christmas gifts from there. And there were some amazing things. So that's phenomenal. Yes, definitely do that.
Because a part of the time I go like, you have that voice in your head that says you're not good enough. And I'm like, but if it doesn't sell, like, the only thing you're losing is the listing fees. You can wear it, because I make stuff I usually like. So that's what I say to myself.
Yeah.
So.
And you know what that's called, Nicole? It's called imposter syndrome. And that's a real thing. When people feel like, I see this person talking about it. Here's the thing, and I'm going to let you in on a little clue. Nobody knows what they're doing. We're all faking it. We really are. We all are just winging it until we figure it out. And I don't even know if some of us ever figure it out. I just act like I know what I'm doing. I'm just really, it's just all smoke and mirrors, truly. So don't you, we all have it. We all do.
Thanks.
What do you want employers to know about hiring with people with disabilities?
What a great question, Julie. We tell our clients all the time, and the numbers speak to this. There's so many things out there that show if you hire someone with a disability, they're going to be one of your best workers ever. And there's so many reasons for that. And it's a catch-22 because people who are often employed that are first time employed as a person with a disability, they are going to be there and they're going to be all in. It may be too, because they may not have another opportunity, as many opportunities as others. So they are going to be there. But when we come back to our clients and we say, how's it going? They're like, oh my goodness, she was the best. We are so pleased with her. She's the best worker we've ever had. And we're like, yeah, we told you so, because they are, we really are. And we also tell our clients too, the favorability factor of the general public, when they know that you employ people with disabilities, it's over 97%. Now, who doesn't want a 97% favorability? Like, people are going to go to your business because they know you employ people with disabilities. It's great PR, and we want people to do it for the right reason, but a little good PR never hurts, So that's huge. And we kind of just reiterate that over and over again. That's our biggest piece, is that if you want to be well known in the community, if you want to have great workers, I mean, what are you waiting for?
Also, I
97%. That's awesome.
joke about this, but disability people are problem solvers, because many of the times we wake up with all these complications that we didn't plan on, or even those of us who have to navigate public transport, we're having to plan out our days, we're having to book in contingencies in there if we're running late here and there, and a lot of times we're solving more problems in before lunch than a lot of people get throughout the entire day, and we're always figuring it out, and and I know with me, I'd be happy to do anything at this point, just because I've spent so much time inside of hospitals. I'm just happy, I'd be happy getting out and just enjoying making some money and just, doing something, because I think I could have fun doing anything at this point. You know what I mean? So we tend to enjoy it more. So
100%. And that's what we say, for us, diversity isn't just race, color, sexual orientation, religion, all of that. It's also the way people think. And when you want a true diverse workforce, if you want a true diverse team, it's all thinking in all types. And let me tell you, what are people with disabilities going to bring to the table? Oh, we're going to figure it out. We're going to problem solve for you, because half the time that's what we're doing anyway, right? To function in society. So yes, Nicole, 100%. We talk about that a lot. And we're very proud of that. If you want to have some different perspectives on your team, we got you. We got some candidates that can provide that for you, for sure. I'm hoping I'm answering all your questions, or any more, because I know, it's getting towards the end, I think. So good questions, though, you guys.
Very good questions. Very good conversations. I've been enjoying this. What about you, Nicole? Have you had any other thoughts that you'd like to share? Just thinking about kind of the hurdles that you were jumping through, or how to get started in it. Is there anything else that you'd like to ask Anessa before we send her on her way this evening? No? That's okay. It's a lot of
Absolutely.
And I'm sure just absorbing it has probably hopefully helped clear up some things. And like Anessa was talking about, that imposter syndrome gets to be really loud. It doesn't even, Nicole, that happens to me on the regular. And I've graduated college. I'm solidified with my job. Julie raised her hand. She's like, yeah, it happens to all of us. And that's something that we all have to overcome, because Nicole, you're one of the most valuable people that I know. You show up for yourself every single day. You show up to the group multiple times a week. You show up for your workouts. You take yourself grocery shopping. You deal with awful public transportation with a smile on your face. You're always just, crushing life with that smile on. So don't ever sell yourself short, Nicole, because I personally know you, and I know that you have a lot to freaking offer. So I'm excited.
Thank you.
I'm excited to see what kind of job you land with because Nicole's in school. She's part of our fitness support group and stuff like that. And so Nicole actually just finished calculus last semester. When Anessa, you mentioned math, I was thinking of Nicole. I was like, Nicole just finished that. That's my girl.
Oh no,
amazing.
I'm in an introduction to differential equations this semester, which is more calculus. And I'm like, will the calculus ever end? Like,
oh boy.
With that kind of determination, Nicole, you just getting through those classes, you're absolutely going to find like the perfect job for you with the perfect company who's going to see all of your strengths and be like, I don't care if she's getting surgery tomorrow. We're going to hire her. We need her in our.
oh, thank you so much.
I have a question. I just, what would you tell a person who would like to work but has complex care needs? They have a care provider, they, their life is not easy.
I would say, well, it's something I think more remote would definitely be the opportunity for that, and finding remote work. And there are lots of remote work out there, but you just have to keep plugging along. Because there was a lot more, obviously, at the beginning of the pandemic, and as we're starting to go out of it, businesses are starting to kind of switch again, which is what I hate, because there was one good thing that came out of the pandemic is that people were like, yes, we can do our jobs from home and we can do them for well. And now they're like, no, we need to be back in the office. I'm like, no, you can still have people that do remote. Absolutely. And there are some companies that are like, no, we're going to stick with remote. This is working great for us. So I think, like I said, it's finding the right fit that's going to make them successful and being honest about that. I have a particular candidate that has some major chronic fatigue and some pain. And so she does not work well in the morning, and she needs work. Really, she's anything after between noon and on, and finding an employer that's going to understand and not confine her to the hours of, say, from 9 to 5. She's going to knock it out of the park between 2 and 8, and she's going to be your best employee, but you just have to give her that chance. And she's had some great success from that, because she fully was like, this works best for me. Will you allow that to happen? And yeah, we're going to let that happen. Then let me tell you, it's going to work out. It's going to be phenomenal, and you're going to love her. So that part of thing, just kind of working through that and being honest and navigating, disclosing, and there are ways to go about it. There are ways in which to present it. And if you present it through honesty and, I know some people get really nervous and they're like, I don't know what to say. I don't know how to share this, just kind of going over it again and again and just rehearsing it so you can be, and writing it down and having it in writing oftentimes really helps too. I hope I'm answering your question, because I feel like there might be a little bit more involved there.
Well, I don't want to give too much
Yeah.
information,
Yeah.
because I'm hoping this person might maybe watch this recording.
Sure.
Yeah, I think writing it down and having a script and rehearsing it, that's a really, really good point. Yeah.
That's really important, because people oftentimes forget, myself included, when you get nervous, it just kind of goes out of your head, and just having that script in front of you is so oftentimes, and just laying out what's going to be successful. Like, this is what happened. This is how I work, and this is work best for me. And, saying, making this up, like, I need to have a break every hour on the hour for 5 minutes. Is that going to be possible? Can you meet that? Just those kind of things. If you present to the person options and ideas, as opposed to kind of scrambling afterwards, like, well, I don't know what to do. They told me that, they need this and that. And how do I do this? Well, if you present to them in an honest and feasible fashion, it'll go a lot further than like, let's brainstorm this. And we're never going to come up with an idea or a conclusion on this unless you come into it with the idea already.
Right. Yeah, that's a really good point. Thanks.
Because oftentimes people are not familiar and they are not prepared and they don't have the knowledge to handle it off the bat. But if you present it to them in writing and showing them these are the things that will help me succeed, it'll be a much better conversation.
I love that idea. I think that was a really great idea. Oh, we only have a couple minutes left. Is there any last minute questions for Anessa that we have, or concerns, ideas, thank yous, anything, feedback? You're more than welcome to share your thoughts. Otherwise, if not, go ahead.
I just want to say that I love what you do, Anessa. I think it's
Thank you.
phenomenal. Thank you. I wish you were in Canada.
We
I'd
hope
be
to work
sending
in
people-
Canada.
I'd be sending people your way. Absolutely.
Well, I hope you're following us, Julie. You know, we would love, because we do have candidates reach out to us from Canada. We have candidates that actually reach out to us from all over the world, and they're like, we need help. And I'm like, I know. We hope to, I'd love to work with some Canadian companies. I really feel like you guys are some companies I see out there, like you guys are kind of ahead of the game a little bit, ahead of America when it comes to disability employment, which excites me. And yeah,
yes,
send it my way.
Except with long COVID, like America,
Oh.
identified long COVID as a disability, and Canada hasn't done that yet. And like I have friends that have long COVID and they're like they're pooched for work. It's
Yeah,
bad.
So I didn't realize that. See, there are certain things, I guess, but you just never know.
Mostly we win. Mostly we win. But you guys win on that one.
That's funny.
You're not wrong. You guys do, and especially with that poutine. I'm just saying. I don't know if you guys know what a poutine meal is, but it's my favorite thing to get during the fair. And this is like,
funny.
I'll text it to you. I'll let you know
I
what
was
it
going to
is.
say, I don't know what you're talking about, but it sounds exciting.
It's French fries with cheese curds with gravy,
Oh,
Like
wow.
what kind of gravy?
like brown gravy.
Like, yeah.
Interesting.
Like,
It's really good.
Yeah, Julie, I should try it.
yeah.
Okay.
In
Good
the
to know.
States, they can be known as disco fries. Have you ever heard the term disco fries at the end of a club night where they go and get disco fries? Poutine and disco fries are very similar. Here, it's more of like a cheese sauce. There, it's more of a gravy. Either way, fries and gravy, fries and cheese.
Fries and gravy.
All about it.
Fries and cheese and pulled pork and gravy is another, like, there's so many ways you can do poutine. It's phenomenal. Yeah.
Like barbecue pulled pork, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Where I'm from, we
Mhm.
do barbecue down here. Okay.
Mhm.
Now I'm
Yeah.
so intrigued. I'm off to Google. I'm gonna go see pictures of this.
And then I'm going straight upstairs to eat dinner after this because it's dinner time. This is just making me salivate. All right, a little off topic, but thank you, Anessa, for sharing such great information. I think this has probably been one of my favorite presentations that we've ever
Hey.
done, just because you give so much good information, and you really know how to resonate with people.
Aw,
And
Thank you.
care
You guys
about-
don't hesitate to reach out. My contact information, if you're like, okay, I'm going in for an interview, walk me through this, just let me know. We'll be happy to
And-
help.
Really quickly, I just wanted to say thank you so much. You've answered some questions that I haven't wanted to ask, and also that part, because I'm also much better in the afternoons, because despite
Yeah.
my best efforts, I am still working on becoming a morning person, and it does not go well. So you could put me on a flat out all night shift and I'd be perfectly fine. I'd make a great
And they
security
need
guard.
workers like that. People are
Oh.
desperate for work for especially the third shift. So
I was
you
gonna
own that,
say, she's
Nicole.
perfect for the graveyard shift. She would love that. And look at her, she's like, yeah.
I never thought about saying anything like that before. So you know what I mean? I always thought about like finding the job to fit me instead of mentioning something like that. So
Well,
thank you.
Like for instance, I worked for the hotel industry for many years. They have first, second, and third shifts. Second being 3 to 11 in the afternoon, evening, and then third shift from 11 to 7. You might be perfect for a hotel industry, something along those lines. And maybe because they are desperate for people during those times. So you never know, there might be your niche.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Absolutely, you guys. This has been such a pleasure. Thank you.
And
Yeah, thank you guys.
yeah, and so we recorded this session tonight. So in a little bit here, I will email that out to everyone who attended. And what I will do is I will attach, I'll attach Anessa's information. I have her LinkedIn link and I have the link for All Abilities website. So all of that will be attached in your post-event email. So keep an eye out in your inbox. It should be to you before 9:30 Eastern time tonight. So just a couple more hours. Otherwise, again, Anessa, thank you so much for giving us an hour of your time and such really great information, and being willing to be a support in the future. I know Nicole and hopefully the other Nicole and myself will definitely be in contact for All Ability stuff, and not only to grow myself, but to grow our friends. And I hope you guys come back for the rest of the week. Tonight was amazing, but we still have 2 more really great nights left. Tomorrow I'll be leading a class for the Wheel with Me team. We're going to do some fitness stuff. I'm going to show you guys some different exercises and movements that we have in the app right now, so you can kind of see what we have in our fitness app. And then Friday we're going to end the week off with my friend Katie. Katie has joined us before. She's going to do a really fun, lively seated Zumba class. And let me tell you, I haven't done Zumba with her. It's a lot of fun. And you know, you think, oh, I could dance for an hour. Like 30 minutes in, I'm just like, I think I'm done. I might need to stop for a second. So it's amazing. It's a blast, a fabulous time. So if you guys are free for the next couple nights, we would love to have you guys back for some workouts and for a nice little Friday dance sesh. Otherwise, thank you, not only Anessa, but thank you guys for showing up and giving us an hour of your time as well. Like, I know that you guys all have busy schedules with school and work and families and all those things. So thank you so much for showing up for us. And I hope we can continue to fill you guys up with great information, and have a wonderful night. And I hope to see you guys all tomorrow.
You need to add that to your LinkedIn. You're a wonderful host. Add that.
That's a great
All
idea.
right. Thank you so much, you guys. I have a wonderful night.
Awesome.
I will see you guys all tomorrow.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.
All right, let me stop recording.